All right, I'm gonna give you a brief overview and run you through some of the tools we got. First, let's get this thing installed. If you drop it in your Maya scripts folder, and then go to the install text file and copy that script, paste it into your script editor, you should see the shelf and the tool pop up. So the first one just takes your pivot and puts it to origin. Next one's gonna align it to a specific axis. You can do X, Y, or Z. The next one's pretty useful, just centers the pivot to your object. See here, it's off, and then poof, back on. This next one transfers the orientation of the first selected object to all the other objects you select after that. That's really useful. And the last one will orient your pivot to the selected component. It works on faces, edges, or vertices. Next ones we got like just a simple detach. This one's going to sort of detach but not damage the selected mesh, the original mesh. And then that last one combines it. From there we have a sort of align edges. It makes whatever selected edges you have straight. We have average edge length. There, so it's just averaging edge length. The next one is target, or it sets the edges to a target length. So it takes the first edge you select and makes all the other edges that length. Then we got a planar. It will planar any selected components. So yeah, edges, faces, or vertices. Now we have a pattern select. You just define a pattern with edges and then you click the button and it will repeat that pattern around the mesh. It's really useful when you get into like very high poly meshes. Then we have a smooth edge flow script. And here's the pipe tool. You select some edges, push the button, and then you can modify these attributes to sort of change the thickness and smoothness of your pipe. This is a raycast selected object script, so this is great for placing little floaters or smaller details onto your high poly mesh. It sort of just stays snapped and oriented to the surface you're clicking on. The next tool creates a blend shape based on the selected object's UVs. So that cylinder had its UVs laid out in a square, so when you create the blend shape, it looks like a square. Next, I can lay a pattern on top of that and then wrap it to that mesh and then toggle between the two different states of the blend shape. This is great for laying like this scale mail detail across like a more complicated shape. I also added a bunch of instancing tools. So this is just instancing in world space across the x-axis. And you can also do that on local axes too. And then we also have a button to remove all instances. So now these are converted to unique objects. Here, this is just showing that I can do the same thing on the local axis using like the object's pivot point. And then we also have like radial instances. So you can define how many of those you want. And then just the same, you can have it based on the origin or the object's pivot point. So let's crank this up. Yeah, so this one's done based on the object's pivot. And yeah, you can create some cool shapes with this. The next is a tool for setting up your bakes. So first we'll name all of our high poly objects, give them the high suffix. can also explode them. I like to work exploded. And I have those keyframes so you can flip those back and forth. Then we select our low poly mesh. Imagine you just retopoed that. But the names don't match. So if you want to take that into marmoset or substance, you need the names to match. So if you click that attach button, it will pair those up and match those. Make sure the names match so you can export to your baking tool and it'll already be all set up for you. And these are just some other smaller tools to like change the color of the wireframe or color of the name in the outliner. And if you ever forget what any of these tools do, you can always hover over the icon and an animated GIF will show up. If you get sick of seeing those, you can go into the settings and turn that off. There are more tools in there that I didn't cover, so grab mtTools and try it out for yourself.